Welcome back to Stab the Dragon Productions for episode number 107 as we continue our Texas Rye Tournament. This is a double elimination tournament which began with 16 rye whiskeys from Texas. The first round is complete, and last time we had our first contest of the second round, or the Elite 8. In that contest we had Blackland Rye, 83 proof, made here in Fort Worth, defeat Lockwood Straight Rye at 90 proof. Lockwood comes from Richardson, Texas and Fort Worth. They have two distilleries and restaurants in two cities. In this bracket, I am specifically looking for good, solid, classical rye flavor. If there is a tie, and I simply cannot determine a winner, the tiebreaker goes to cost and availability. As a side, I also try to guess which whiskey is which, as I'm doing each contest relatively blind. Sometimes my wife does the pour and helps me out. She's not here tonight, so I had to pour them myself, but then I switch them all around so many times that I don't know which is which. And also my Glencairns are not blacked out, which is a hindrance because a lot of times I can tell which is which, but simply by looking at them. Now, just the facts. Let's introduce tonight's contestants. Leadslinger's Fighting Spirit Rye. This whiskey caught my attention 3 or 4 years ago with its bottle and label, which has a classic picture of a World War II Marine carrying an M1 Garand rifle with bayonet affixed. On the inside, you can see maybe the come and take it flag from history, from Texas history there, from the Battle of Gonzales back in the Texian Revolution. So the bottle caught my attention, and that's what bottles are supposed to do. And so I researched it and found out about it, and then I purchased it, and this is my second bottle, actually. And so I don't have many bottles that I've gone through and started a second one, but this is one, so I really do like it, and it's my favorite to win tonight, actually. Now, this whiskey is made at Scissortail Distillery in Moore, Oklahoma. So why is it in the Texas Whiskey Tournament? I live in Fort Worth, and Moore, Oklahoma is actually closer to me than San Antonio or Houston. Oklahoma borders Texas, of course. And as far as I know, it only has the one distillery that is producing. I think there's a second one, but their stuff's not out there yet. Leadslingers is owned by Matt Best, a notable Texan, and 6 other U.S. military veterans. They founded the company in 2013. They're all veterans of the airborne community in one form, fashion, or the other, from Special Forces, Marines, Air Force. So anyway, I classify this whiskey as an almost Texas whiskey or a wannabe Texas whiskey. So it's in the tournament. It's been, again, one of my favorites for a few years. It is young. It's not aged for very long at all. It comes in at 45% ABV or 90 proof. And it's only available at Specs locally here in the Dallas or Fort Worth area for $30.52. Now, in this corner, we have Herman Marshall Rye. And this is a Total Wine Single Barrel Reserve. This whiskey started in Garland, a suburb of Dallas, but they're moving the distillery to Wylie, Texas, northeast of Dallas. Dallas has grown so much that Wylie's now a suburb of Dallas. It didn't used to be. And the original owners have sold out to a new team, so there's going to be a new name. The bottles are changing. It's eventually going to be called Dry County, I believe. This bottle, again, is a single barrel reserve and is no longer available, actually. So I paid $45.99 for it, but the new Herman Marshall is out there, and it's a 102 proof, so I need to actually get that and sample that. But the website says the mash bill is 77% rye and 23% malted barley, and it's aged for 4 years. So that's Herman Marshall. Now, let's go into looking at these two whiskeys and compare them visually. They are very close to each other in color, but I'm going to say the one on my left hand is darker, and so I think that's going to be the Herman Marshall because that's aged 4 years. Leadslingers, it may be just aged 3 to 4, 6 months, something like that. So I'm going to say this is Herman Marshall. It's darker. I tend to favor darker whiskeys, and dark whiskeys in Texas doesn't necessarily mean that it's been aged that long. I've got a 1-year whiskey that's really very dark. This is 4 years, and I can tell you that it's probably climate controlled. Because if you expose whiskey to the Texas climate for 4 years, it's going to be much darker than this. So that's the appearance. Let's go to the nose, and I'll start here on the right. Now my nose is pretty useless. I can't smell whiskey very often. With rye, I can sometimes smell something. And here I'm just getting a very vague rye spice, a little sweetness, but just a hint of rye spice there. Let's go to the one on my left. This has got a little bit stronger nose. Again, I'm getting rye spice. I'm not getting any of the Texas funk. So if this is Herman Marshall, I'm pretty sure it's aged in a climate-controlled warehouse, as is the Leadslingers. You know, Oklahoma's as hot as Texas. So both of these are pretty faint nose, but I'm going to give advantage to the one on my left. So this one's got the color advantage as well as the nose advantage. Let's go to tasting, the all-important tasting. Starting here on the right. And that is a marvelous rye spice. I mean, for such a young whiskey, this really does have very good rye flavor. And I see why it won the first round, beat out its opponent, which I think was Oaken Eden. Okay, there's the glass on my right. Cleanse my palate. I'm not drinking Topo Chico tonight. I've got a bottle of Icelandic glacial water here. So yeah, we import water from Iceland. All right, let's go to the one on the left. That's got a good strong rye spice. If that's the Herman Marshall, and now I'm sure it is, the 4 years aging, it's more oily. How it feels in the mouth, it's got a more full composition in the mouth. And if this is Herman Marshall, that malted barley is coming through. I'm tasting a little bit of that. So this glass, man, that offers a little bit more maybe, but dang, this is gonna be hard. Okay, time to declare a winner. I'm going to say this one on my left is the winner, and I think it's the Herman Marshall. Now I've got these arranged. There's numbers on the bottom of the glass. You probably saw that. The 1 is alphabetically going to be Herman Marshall because H comes before L. So let's see. Yes, this is number 1, Herman Marshall. This is the number 2, Leadslingers. So we have a winner. Herman Marshall for the win. Texas Rye Whiskey. I really think the the proof a little bit higher, but I think the aging really made this the winner. It's got great rye flavor, but there's also that little bit of a hint of the malted barley. So there we go, Herman Marshall for the win. And that kind of breaks my heart because I was rooting for Leadslingers. I mean, I told you that Leadslingers was favored to win. And this has been one of my favorite ryes for about 3 years. And so it loses tonight, the Herman Marshall. Well, okay. Next week, we've got Still Austin Straight Rye coming in at 99.6 proof versus Acre Texas Rye 100 proof rum finished. So there you go, a straight rye versus a rum finished rye. That Acre is from here in Fort Worth, and I'd be probably rooting for the Acre rye to win. But so far, my record in this whole tournament for my favorites is not very good. I'm being surprised by the competition here. Well, that does it for Stab the Dragon tonight. So signing off, out here.